Hey guys, welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, Harry Wilmington. This is the place where you learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. We're now live on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook and we're live on Instagram. If you want to go to any of those places, you can go to my Instagram at Introvert Dating Success. You can go to YouTube at youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. And you can also go to Facebook at introvertdatingsuccess.com as well. So today we got a jam-packed show for you guys. And so today, first of all, we're going to be talking about how you can have better masculine communication with women to know the things that they're actually looking for when they are trying to talk to guys, what attracts them and what turns them away. From there, we're going to talk about how to navigate social media and when you're dating, because a lot of guys have questions about, hey, I'm on social media. I've just started talking to this girl. What do I do? Do I get her information? Do I try to talk to her? How should I talk to her? And so we're going to go over all that stuff so you will not be confused. And then I'm going to answer a question from a guy that has a question about this girl he broke up with a couple of months ago. She wants to get back with him, but while they were broken up, she may have possibly hooked up with somebody else, and he's wondering how he should feel about that. I'm sure it's a situation you guys have gone through before. In fact, I think I've done a video about it before, but I'm going to answer this guy's question specifically so you can get some better intel on what to do. So that's what we're going to talk about in the show today. As always, guys, this show is ultimately about you. So if you have any questions during the course of the show that you'd like to ask and I have time to get to the question, then I will be happy to answer it on this show as well. All right. So also, guys, real quick, you can always go to introvertdatingsuccess.com for my ebooks. I got programs. I got subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. I'm at 500 people right now. I'm trying to get to 1,000, so be sure to do that. If you're on the Instagram, appreciate you watching. Feel free to like this video and share it with your friends and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into the first part of the show. Oh, before I get into that, I did have something else I wanted to talk about too. It's very, very important. So I've done a few shows now talking about, like, guys oftentimes will wait and they'll do this day-to-day thing where they're like, hey, well, I want to date a girl, but I'm not so sure. I'm going to keep chasing up this particular girl. Or they'll say, I hate dating altogether. Women suck. And I'm going to wait until I get older and this and that. And so I had a very sobering reality this week that I didn't think would hit me as hard as it did, but it did. And so there was a woman that I dated a few years ago. We dated for like 5.5 months. During that time, we had a pretty good, what I considered at the time, dating relationship going on. And in the end, it didn't work out. There were some things about her personality that weren't going to gel with mine long term. So I had to end it. But I wish no ill will of anybody. And so we just kind of broke it off, and that was that. So I found out, though, this week that she passed away like 6 months ago. And the way she died was extremely tragic. I mean, for one, she was only 40 years old. I'm 39 now, so she was like a year and a few months older than me. But she was out walking her dog one morning, and she was going over a crosswalk, and this car ran a red light. Oh, sorry, not even a car. A pickup truck ran a red light and hit her. She flew in the air, got hit again, and then got ran over by the guy. And then he just drove off. And so it was just a really tragic thing. And when I found out about this, I felt this like overwhelming sadness come over me. Like, even though we hadn't talked in almost a year or so, and like, I get, again, we didn't work out, but I didn't wish anything ill upon her. But just like at the time that we were dating, she was an entrepreneur. She had been a news journalist in the state that she lived in before she moved to California. And she had made all these plans of all these things that she wanted to do. And in that one sweeping moment, all that stuff just goes out the window. On top of, at the time that she died, she was also still single. So I bring this up because I think that sometimes as humans, we forget that our time on this earth is very finite and that we do not have as much time as we think we possibly do. For all we know, you could be trying to plan your life now and it could be gone tomorrow. But I bring this up because in reference to dating specifically, we oftentimes think that we're going to, in our day-to-day, we're going to be here forever. And we forget that our day-to-day is slow, but we look up and look back like, oh my God, it's been X amount of years. Where's the time gone? And there's so much things that you need to do in order to be the right person to date, whether it's, changing your attitude about things, whether it's knowing how attraction works. And if you don't work on those things, you can't think that eventually you're going to just figure it out, because you could, but you could be working on that now instead of thinking you have all this time. And there's a lot of guys that will be, they'll be in their 20s and they'll say to themselves, well, I'll just deal with, dating and stuff like that when I get my 30s and 40s and 50s. A, you don't know if you'll live that long. And B, every moment that you waste is time that you could be getting better with skills and actually dating somebody today. Like there are women today that would actually date you if you knew the right thing to do and how to be in order to get women. Okay. Now, also to this point, even though me and this woman did not work out, I always make it a point to try to be as respectful in my relationships as possible. And that includes when I'm ending a relationship, because you don't need to leave somebody on bad terms. I don't think that that's the thing that you need to do. I think that you can break up with somebody and say, hey, these are things that don't gel with me, but ultimately it's for the best. But more importantly to you guys that are watching this, I see so many guys say things like, well, I don't want to date this girl long term. I just want to hit it and quit it. Or, well, she might not be the right one for me right now, but I'm going to just deal with it in the meantime because, whatever. Recognize that when you do that, not only are you wasting your time, but you're also wasting the woman's time. And women are also on this earth for a finite amount of time, and they do not deserve to have their time wasted either. So if you are looking at a woman and you realize that, as much as you may want to hook up with her or do like a one-night thing or whatever, that you're already seeing that this is not going to be a long-term prospect for you, maybe not err on the side of dating that person, because it's not fair to them. Like there are plenty of women out there that will, to you, seem like a longer-term prospect, and those are the women you should really be paying attention to. That you should not be wasting a woman's time, because women, they have their own things going on, and the worst thing you could be doing is wasting a woman's time when you already know that you don't want to get with her. And again, you're wasting your time too. And we aren't on this earth for a long period of time. When you get to the end of your life cycle, it doesn't matter how many hookups you had, how many women you got with. All that's going to matter is what memories did you leave with other people here, and did you treat people with respect to where they remember you? And if you're not doing that, then that is not beneficial to you, it's not beneficial to the other person, and it's not fair, okay? And I just really thought about that because it just really hit me. I didn't realize how hard it would hit me when I heard that news, and I was just like, man, like this. Again, we weren't dating anymore, but I just knew how much stuff she had going for her life, and I just felt so bad about that. So hopefully you've learned something from something I just said about all that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So with that said, I now want to talk about talking to women and communicating in a masculine way. Now, I bring this up because I saw this interesting video this week that talked about the differences between the way males communicate and the way females communicate, and how those things play out in terms of attracting the opposite sex. And one of the really big takeaways I took from that is that a lot of times as men, especially in this day and age, where we've kind of as men been told that a lot of the ways that we are being masculine is toxic. And while I will not dispute that claim that there are certain ways that men can be better, I think sometimes men take that to the extreme to mean that any kind of masculinity shown at all is toxic, and we should not be doing that. And that's really a shame, because women actually like men that know how to communicate to them, that they can get a read off of them that they are being masculine. And so in this particular video, what it talked about was the subtle ways in which men and women communicate that are different. And the big takeaway was that the version of communication that women often use is indirect communication. And the reason that they use indirect communication is because in this world, unfortunately for them, they have a lot more stuff to look out for in reference to their safety. At any given time, they're not sure if they just outright say to a guy, hey, no, thank you, I'm not interested. If that guy's going to come and try to stalk them or kidnap them or bring harm to them or touch them inappropriately in very, very strong ways, which I don't want to say the word on YouTube and stuff like that. But the point is that those are real things that women really feel. In addition to when they're dealing with other women, honestly, women are a lot more intuitive about feelings and things than men are. And so they don't necessarily have to say a direct thing to another woman in order for her to get what it is. Like that's why the famous example of when a woman asks another woman, hey, how are you doing? And the other woman says, fine. The first woman will get a read like, oh, she's not really fine. I need to ask further and figure out what that is. So women communicate in a way that is indirect. Okay. Men, on the other hand, typically communicate in a way that's more direct. We have less threats going on, so we can just spout our opinions about things, and there's not going to be too much pushback on it. We can ask for things directly that we want, whether it's raises at our job, whether it's, a wide variety of things, and there's not going to be a threat to us. So we are in the habit of, especially with other men, being more direct. Also, it's because it's a time saver. When we're dealing with other guys, we're trying to, put together projects, we're trying to build things, we're trying to coordinate plans. We don't really have time to be indirect in our communication. So oftentimes we are more direct. So because we are typically the more direct communicative ones, at least in terms of the things that we want and desire, that is seen as a more masculine form of communication. So Here is where the breakdown happens with men and women. Again, because women typically communicate with each other more indirectly, that is seen as a form of feminine communication. So when you as a guy are interested in a woman and you're doing all these things to try to hint to her that you like her, and you're being indirect in what your intentions are with her, most women can already suss that out. I've had plenty of women in my past say that they could tell that I had a crush on them, even as much as I was trying to hide it or trying to be like secretive or passive about it. But also, when you communicate that way, you're being seen as communicating in a way that is feminine. If a woman is trying to go for a man that is leaning into his masculine, then that form of communication of you being indirect is not going to be attractive to her because she's viewing it as a feminine way of communication. Okay. So what are examples of this? Well, here's a perfect example. Okay. Let's say you like a woman and you want to take her on a date. The indirect, i.e. more feminine way of communicating would be to try to befriend her, try to hang out with her for a couple of months, act like you're just trying to be in the friend zone, and then maybe one day possibly espouse your feelings to her, which, as if you're a nice guy like I used to be, you know that's not going to happen. You're going to forever be in the zone of being shy and not really saying anything. But the point is, when you do that, again, most women can already read that you probably like her, but as long as you're not saying anything, she's also perfectly fine with just being your friend and just putting you in the friend zone. But understand, she's not seeing you as a masculine guy that you want to date. She's really seeing you in more of a feminine lens where she puts her other female friends. So you'll be put in the friend zone, okay, but you're not going to ever be in the zone of somebody she would date. Versus the more masculine form of communication is you say you randomly meet her and you're talking to her, you're vibing with her, you're having a good time. And at the end of that conversation, you say, hey, you know what? We should hang out sometime. Let me get your number. And then you get the number. And then the next time you call her, the first time you call her up, you say, hey, so we should go do something together. We should hang out. I'm going to take you out to a dinner, take you out to a movie, yada, yada, yada. Now, that is more direct communication. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, how do I know she wants to go out with me? And the reality is you don't. But that's also part of masculine communication, is being willing to make moves that are a little more risky. The reason that women don't want to ask out men is because, again, in order to do that, they have to be direct. But that directness, since it's a form of masculine communication, if she wants to stay in her feminine, she's not going to want to do that because she wants to feel more like the female. So what she might do is she might indirectly give hints to you that indicate that she'd be fine if you were to directly ask her out. But if you aren't doing that, then you're not going to be able to get where you want to go. And so this is why it's very, very important to understand that if you're trying to be indirect and trying to hint to a woman that you like her and that you want to take her out, but you're not actually asking directly for the date, this is a big reason why you are failing at being able to attract women, is because if you're not doing that, they're not going to see your form of communication as masculine, and therefore they're not going to want to date you. So how can you be more direct in your communication? What does that look like? What is the difference between being direct versus indirect? I have a few examples that I've typed up that I'm going to read to you now. So first example, like I said, direct communication would be asking her for a date versus indirect, which is asking her what kind of guys she would date. Oh, what kind of guys are you into? Or what kind of guys do you normally fall for? When you ask that question, you're being indirect. Again, the woman can tell by that question that you probably have an interest in her, but she's going to play along with this question and act like she doesn't know what you're talking about because she is already taking you off the list because you didn't directly just say to her, hey, we should go out sometime. Like, that's a very easy, simple ask. It's not you giving a wedding proposal. It's not you saying you outright want to date her or marry her, but it is saying there's a spark of something that you see there and you want to inquire further. And being able to just directly say that and ask that is going to be better for you than trying to do this thing of like, well, let me find out what kind of guy she likes first. Let me see what she's into. You don't need to know that. If you ask her out and she says yes, you now know that you're the kind of guy she's into. It's very simple. Another thing, let's say you're on a date and you want her to go back to your place. A direct version of doing that would be to say, hey, let's go back to my place to get some cocktails or whatever. Or I like to do the thing of like during the course of the outing, I'll mention like I have some cool artwork at my place or I have some cool things at my place that are pretty awesome. And then towards the end, if I think things are going well, I'll say, hey, so you want to come back and check out that artwork that I was talking about or that poster that I had or this or whatever. But the point is, you have to do the direct ask of, hey, let's go back to my place versus sitting there on the date, hoping that maybe she'll bring it up or she'll say, you're waiting for her to give the thing of like, hey, we should go back to my place. Like most women aren't going to do that. Even women that want to do stuff with you are still going to be like, he's the guy and I want to feel like I'm being desired by him. So if he wants me to go back to his place, he will directly ask that. Do you know how easy it is to get a woman back to your place if you just simply ask? Like a closed mouth don't get fed. And honestly, if a woman is legit feeling you on those first couple of dates, she's actually waiting for you to ask that question. That doesn't mean she's going to say yes all the time, but even just you having the boldness to ask, she now knows that that's out there as an option that she might want to exercise on the second date, on the third date, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're just trying to wait for her to do it, it's probably not going to happen, okay? Another thing, making escalating moves versus waiting for her to make them. Now, I will preface this by saying this. I do believe that in terms of breaking the touch barrier, you want to really wait for the woman to break that in a sense that that way that lets you know that she's comfortable with you also being in her space. So what I typically do is like during the course of the date, if I'm walking and we're walking next to each other, I might walk a little bit closer to see if she walks close to me. During the course of a dinner, I might be telling a story and I'll put my hand out on the table and see if she touches it. But these are all things that I'm still making moves that say, hey, I'm open to touch. If you're open to touch and you touch me, then I know you're possibly open to more touch, okay? But that said, once that touch breaking has been established, it is now your job as the guy to make the escalating moves to higher end touches that could lead to the bedroom, okay? So don't expect that if a woman touches your hand and she's open to touch, that she's going to be the one to try to go for the kiss. She's going to be the one to try to like grab at your crotch or these other places to indicate she wants to hook up, okay? These are moves that as the guy, you still have to make. If you're not the one making these moves, I've seen plenty of women on Reddit forums. I've talked to plenty of women in my personal life that'll be like, I was on a date with this guy and things were going great and I wanted him to kiss me, but he didn't kiss me. I wanted to make some moves, but he didn't make any moves towards me. Is he gay? Does he really like me? Et cetera, et cetera. Don't get into that. Now, again, you making these moves, some of them are going to get rejected. You're going to go for a kiss sometimes and you're going to get the cheek. You're going to try to touch for a certain part of her body and she might slap her hand away. All these moves mean is, hey, not yet. But if she's still with you on the date, she's still vibing, having a good time, those moves might come later. But the point is, if you don't put them out there, then don't expect for her to be the one to do that. She's trying to stay in the feminine role. So you have to stay in your masculine role and make these moves that she can decide to accept or not accept. Okay. Understand as a guy, a big part of this, honestly, is being willing to accept rejection, because that is the biggest thing is that, again, women, part of the reason they do indirect communication is because they don't want to get rejected by saying something too direct. So that said, as the guy, you got to get used to that. Recognize that you're going to make some moves and you're going to face some rejection, but even being willing to make a move that might get your rejection will get you more respect from women and will oftentimes have women allow you to do more things with them than if you didn't take that risk at all, okay? So don't be afraid to make those big moves and be more direct and bold in your communication, okay? Now, I will say this one more thing. With that said, this does not mean you need to say things like, hey, so I really like you and I think we should be together and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. In that department, women are going to steer the ship on where they're emotionally at with you in terms of the dating process. Because honestly, we know, guys, after the first or second date, we're already ready to wipe them up, okay? So in that respect, we tend to move a bit too fast. So as your job during that time is to be direct in the sense of asking her out, of letting it be known through your actions that you are building an attraction to her, that you want to do more things with her. And when you're doing that in the right way, then women will let you know in terms of various parts and stages of dating, where they're at with you emotionally, okay? Let them be the ones to be direct with you emotionally in terms of where they're at, because they have to check out more things about you before they're completely assured in their feelings for you, okay? So in that respect, if you're feeling after date 2, oh, I really like you, we should be boyfriend, this and that's not something you want to be direct with right away, okay? Just keep doing things action-wise that let her know that you're really feeling her, and let her be the one to come to you to ask things like, what are we? Are you seeing anybody else? Do you want to be in a relationship, et cetera, okay? So just want to clarify that point. But definitely, like I said, guys, in terms of the things that you want with a woman, be direct and clear on those things, and don't be so afraid. Don't do this indirect communication that's going to make her feel that you're more in your feminine than in your masculine. So hopefully this helps you guys. So that's the first part I want to talk about. Before I get to the second part, like I said, guys, if you like the stuff that you're hearing, for one, you can go to my website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. I got ebooks, I got audiobooks, I got a bunch of cool stuff up there. I'm about to put some other stuff up in there as well, but I got a lot of great stuff there that's designed to help you out. Also, if you like what you're hearing, I do these shows for free. I got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. You can join. If you want to show support for me in this channel, because I buy a lot of stuff to be able to put these shows on, you can go to my Cash App at $Harry Wilmington and just, leave a form of support. It can be $1, it can be $10,000. I don't care. I just like, if you want to support the show and you think this is being helpful, then that's a way to help me out in the long term. Okay. So with that said, now we're going to get into how to navigate dating and social media. And this is a big thing because, when I was a teenager, God, I'm 39 now. So I was a teenager back in the early 2000s. Okay. Back then, social media did not exist. Social media didn't pop into form until 2003, 2004, when Facebook first popped up. And then at some point we had MySpace and then these other various things. Now there's a whole bunch of various social medias. You got Instagram, you got WhatsApp, you got stuff that depending on when you're watching this, there's probably new stuff out that I'm not even aware of. Okay. But the point is, with social media came a bit of a problem in the dating world. And it's that before, the only way to communicate with a woman was either in person, or you had to call her, and then eventually texting came about also, okay? But now, with social media being out there, there's so many ways to communicate with the woman that it can be overwhelming. And also, you start to wonder, is it even really a good idea to be talking to a woman on social media? Should I be getting with a woman and then trying to befriend her on social media so she can see my profile, she can see what other things I'm liking, to see what kind of thoughts I'm posting, et cetera, et cetera. And so I, for the most part, have erred on the side of, in terms of social media stuff, I have a few things I'm going to talk about today about how you can really master this. Because what you don't want to do is meet up with a woman and then you befriend her too soon, or you're trying to get her information and she's feeling some kind of way about it. She's feeling weird about it because it's too soon. Is it too late? Should you be messaging her? Should you be allowing her to see all this stuff? Let's go over what you actually need to do as it pertains to social media, so that way you won't make the mistake that a lot of guys make of being in this kind of haze about what to do. So here are the rules that I typically tend to follow when I am dating and I'm dealing with social media, because inevitably either you're going to want her social media or she's going to ask you about your social media and if she can be on it, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the rules that I've lived by that have helped me. First thing is that, let's say you meet a woman on a dating app. Let's say you meet her in person at a party or whatever, and you guys exchange numbers, or in the case of dating apps, you're talking to her on the dating app, okay? I make it a point that I do not become friends with any woman on social media, at the very least, before I've at least gone on a date with her. Because what I found, honestly, is that a lot of women get creeped out by a guy that wants to talk to them beyond just the phone before a date has even occurred. And so what a lot of guys do is they'll, meet a girl on a dating app or in public and say, hey, let me get your phone number. And then when they get the information, they'll text her again and say, hey, let me get your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, yada, yada, yada. And what that's saying to a woman is, hey, let me follow you on all these platforms. Hey, I want to follow you. That sounds a lot like stalking. And so while it may not sound like that to you, subconsciously to a woman, that's basically saying, I want to be able to spy on your life, even though we haven't met up in person yet, because I really want to know as much as I can about you. And that's like some old school stalker type stuff. You don't want to do that, okay? So, and also, you really don't know if you want to know this woman, or you want this woman to know enough about you at that time, given that you haven't even had a date. So let's work on getting the date first and going out on the date and seeing if that works out, okay? Then, honestly, beyond that, even if I've gone on a few good dates with a woman, I typically err on the side of, I don't really even consider befriending a woman for the most part on social media of any kind until she's the girlfriend. Like, I just don't. For one, I really don't need her to know that much about my life while we're dating, in terms of like, other people I've hung out with or places I've been, et cetera, because there needs to be an air of mystery about you. Having an air of mystery about you is going to attract more women, because it means that if they don't know a lot about you, they have to go on these dates with you in order to find out more. Versus if you just lay it out for her all on a platter on social media, well, now she has less and less incentive to actually go out with you or to find out about you, because she can find out all she needs to on social media. On top of, she may see a picture of some kind. Say you're like hugged up with a girl in a picture. Well, she has no idea what that picture's about. She doesn't know that your sister or your cousin. She doesn't know if that's an ex-girlfriend. All she knows is you have pictures hugging girls, you're liking various other women's things and stuff like that online, and she does not know you enough to be able to determine who those people are or how serious those hugs or those comments or those things that you left are, and it can really hinder your chance of being able to get with her. So until I've had enough established time with her to build up a rapport, to build up some trust, to build up a relationship, and get into one whereby that trust is relatively established, I make it a point to not befriend women on social media. Now, what do I do if I'm dating a woman after the first month? She's like, hey, can we be friends on social media? Well, that goes back to being direct in your communication. I straight out say, hey, you know what? Honestly, until I'm in a relationship with a woman, I don't really feel the need to be friends with a woman on social media, because I think we should get to know each other in person more before we start sharing each other's social media. And that goes both ways. I don't feel the need to befriend a woman also and find out about her. I want to find out about her on dates. So yeah, so when the social media thing comes up, you can just be honest and say, I don't really do that until I'm in a relationship. I just don't. That said, I also make it a point to put my profiles on private, meaning that on the off chance this woman tries to search out my social media when we're not on dates, she can't do it because my stuff's on private, so she can't see it. Again, this goes back to until that relationship is established, she doesn't need to know more about my life than I'm willing to share on these dates and when we're in person with each other. Now, beyond that, another rule I typically have is before you become friends with this person, you need to really go through your profile and review the various posted pics that you have. Because I'll be honest, I think that you have the right to post anything you want to whatsoever, but understand you have to also be willing to be answering to the consequences of that. If you have pictures of previous exes that you've dated or other various things on there that you think could possibly result in her wanting to have a conversation with you about it, again, you can post up what you want. And if you want to have those conversations, you're welcome to do so. But if you don't, I recommend going through your profile and really seeing, okay, what comments have I made? What pictures have I posted that I don't want her to see because I don't want to give the wrong impression? And you have the right to do that. And again, you might be a guy that's totally fine with everything you posted and you might be willing to have those conversations. That's for you to decide. But I definitely recommend doing a review of that before you decide to take on this new person in your profile. Another thing is you want to discuss the whole becoming Facebook official thing with a woman before you become her friend. Because some women, in addition to wanting to become your friend on these platforms, will also want to post up a relationship status. They might want to say, I'm with so-and-so, that so-and-so being you. And so you might be a person that doesn't want to have that status up. I know for me, for example, I've seen so many guy friends of mine that had, I'm in a relationship with so-and-so, and then a few months later, they had to take it down. And now they got all these people on their profile saying, oh, what happened with you and so-and-so? Why did you guys not work out? Like, what's that about? You may not want those questions. I had a friend that he was dating a girl for like 2 or 3 years, and it wasn't until he got engaged to her that he decided to now put up a status that, oh, me and so-and-so are engaged, because this is now a serious thing that's leading towards marriage. And more importantly, he's not having to go back and forth on Facebook or whatever saying, oh, I'm in a relationship with this person. Oh, wait, now I'm not. Oh, wait, now I am. Oh, wait, now I'm not. So if that's you, that's perfectly fine. But that other person needs to know that so they're not blindsided or having hurt feelings about, why is it that this person won't let me know, won't let the world know that we're dating each other? Again, if you're a guy that doesn't want to do that until you're about to be married to a person, you have the right to do that. But that's a conversation that needs to be had so that other person won't be butthurt or can make the decision to not date you if you're not going to do that, which I think is silly, but it's a thing you got to do. All right. Another thing, I recommend posting less. Like if you're dating a woman and she's friends with you on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, honestly, you really shouldn't be a guy that's posting all that much. You should be out chasing your purpose and doing other things to whereby posting your day-to-day is not really possible on your social media. Unless you're like making thousands of dollars a month doing it, then there's no need to do that. On top of the fact that, again, even though you're in a relationship with this person, there still needs to be an air of mystery. She doesn't need to know your every single move that you're making when she's not around, okay? Because you really want to save most of that for dates, for when you're seeing her in person. You want her to have to ask about, hey, what were you doing today? Or where were you at? Versus, oh, I saw it on Facebook and Instagram or whatever. So that also lessens conversation, because the fact that she can see it means that now it means that unfortunately you have less and less stuff to talk about with her. And so that could also be a thing too. So I recommend posting less. I err on the side of, I don't really post all that often. Obviously I'm posting on my social media for, my dating stuff, on my other personalized Facebooks and stuff like that. I don't really post too much about that. All right. Another thing, please, if you are connected with your significant other on social media, be respectful. Please don't post other women, pictures of you with other women. Don't be liking other women's pictures. Like, these are things that in the realm of a relationship are very disrespectful. I know me as a guy, if I'm dating a woman and I'm seeing her liking other dudes' posts and comments and stuff like that, then recognize that you're going to feel some kind of way about that. And it's very, very disrespectful to be posting up pictures of other women when you're dating a woman that you're supposed to be liking, okay? That's a personal thing, but I've seen so many women say, why is my guy liking these other women's pictures? Like there'll be guys that are like following models and still liking their Instagram, this and that, and the women feel some kind of way about that. And my first response is always, and rightfully so, because I feel some kind of way if the girl I was dating was liking muscle-bound dudes' pictures or dudes that had a lot of money, all this stuff. Like I feel some kind of way about that. So it's a reciprocity thing. If you want her to respect you and treat you right and not be doing certain things on social media, you should not be doing them either. I know you might feel that you can do that, and again, you can do whatever you want. I'm just trying to give you advice that's going to bring less stress to your situation as it pertains to social media. And social media today has been the cause for so many breakups. And it doesn't need to be. You could just be respectful and just not like other girls' pictures, because why would you need to do that? You're with a girl that you like, you should be only liking her stuff, in my humble opinion. If you disagree with that, you're welcome to do so, but you're going to cause yourself a lot more headaches than you need. And let's see, avoid using. Okay, another thing, yeah, very important. With social media, please avoid using these platforms to text each other all the time. And I say this because you've already got a phone, you're already texting her. But some guys make the mistake of, I got our social media, so I'm going to text her on the phone, and I'm going to text her on WhatsApp, I'm going to send her a Snapchat, and I'm going to text her on TikTok, and I'm going to text her on Facebook. Like, realistically, as much as the woman likes you, women also have lives outside of you, and they're busy. They have jobs. They might have kids. They have other people in their families. They have other friends. They have a social life outside of you. Sometimes, just like an introvert, they might want their alone time. They might want to do something without you sometimes. And you trying to galvanize their time by getting on all these social media platforms to try to follow them around is actually annoying women. Like, again, I've talked to women. As much as guys, we think that, because what we hear is a woman, in order for her to like us, it's all about communication. We got to communicate more. So we think that means we got to communicate all the time, all day, on all platforms. That's not what they mean. When they say they need to communicate more, what they mean is when they communicate with you, they need to feel like you understand them and that they're being heard. It does not mean that they need to hear from you in all the time, okay? So recognize that if you're texting her on the phone and calling on the phone and you're meeting up with her regularly in person, that's fine. You don't need to contact her on these 10 other platforms to have a relationship. In fact, it's better for you to err on the side of trying to stay off social media and connect with her in person more than trying to be with her on the phone all the time, because you can't really build interest and attraction over texting and over social media as well as you can in person. Okay. So, and one more thing too, one more rule, very important, is also set rules for posting up pics with each other, because I know like there can be this thing of, you get with each other and then right away you want to befriend her on social media. And then every time you go on a date with her, you want to post a picture. Again, I err on the side of, until you're in a relationship, that kind of stuff really shouldn't be happening, because for all you know, she could be dating you and dating other guys. Let's just be real. In the beginning of the dating process, you might go on 2 or 3 good dates with her, but she could still be on dating platforms or dating other people to narrow down her choice. Okay. So you coming along and trying to befriend her and then trying to post a picture of you and her on your 3rd date together when she's got other guys she's dating, that is not, I know you don't want to hear that, but that's not a fair thing. Okay. And that could actually push her way more, because it indicates to her that you're more serious about this than she is at that point in time. I tell you guys, on average, it takes women 2 to 3 months to solidify their feelings. You're posting up pictures with her on date 3, and it's only the 2nd week of you guys dating. That's going to seem like too soon for her. Okay. So at the point that you get in a relationship, at the point that you become friends on social media, have those conversations about, hey, so how often are we going to be posting pictures of each other? It ain't got to be all the time. I might sporadically post one here or there, but if I don't post one all the time, don't get your feelings butthurt, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's perfectly fine. Okay. But ultimately, don't let social media be the downfall of your relationship. Ultimately, you guys should be having more conversations and having more interaction in person than you are on these social media platforms in the first place. Social media can be a tool to be able to see more about each other and maybe learn a little bit more, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. And again, you shouldn't be posting that much anyway, because you want to leave an air of mystery for her to want to find out more about you in person versus possibly misreading something that she sees about you on social media. So that's the end of that section. before we get into this last part, again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to do these shows every Sunday now, so feel free to subscribe on youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. That way you can be notified of when I'm doing these shows. You can follow my Instagram account at Introvert Dating Success. And also, I'm on Facebook as well. I'm on TikTok. I'm in a lot of places, all right? But ultimately, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com for all your Harry Wilmington dating needs. And again, if you want to show support, $ Harry Wilmington, that's my Cash App. Feel free to show your support that way. All right, so now I want to go ahead and answer this guy's question. This is our question of the day. And it's actually a comment that I got on YouTube. And so this guy had a question. He said, me and my girlfriend broke up. And 2 months later, she was already sleeping with someone. I'm not sure, but I believe this started before our breakup. She's trying to get back with me now. So my question is, after only 2 months, should I consider this betrayal or an act of unloyalty? And by the way, I know as guys, we're very big on the whole loyalty thing. Like we feel as though if we're dating a woman and she's with us, then she shouldn't be seeing other people. And that is very, very true. Okay. But with that said, this guy, I answered this guy's question at the time on the YouTube, and I'll answer it here as well. So basically, to start off with, if there's a breakup, it doesn't matter how long the breakup lasts. If she decides to come back at some point or whatever, okay? At the point where you guys break up, regardless of who started the breakup or whatever, both of you all are now free agents, which means that anything that happens during the time you guys are broken up does not matter outside of if she gets pregnant or if she gets an STD. Anything beyond that, she's doing actions in the course of that breakup that are perfectly fine. Just like if you were, as a guy, to break up with her and then the next day you had a date and had a one-night stand or a hookup, and then you got back together with this woman later. That one-night stand, A, it's none of her business, again, unless you have an STD or got her pregnant. And also, it was perfectly fine because you were not cheating, just like she was not cheating. You guys were broken up. You guys were having no contact. There was a possibility out there that you guys would never date each other again. So for you to think that she should stay loyal to you when the possibility is put out there that you guys were going to never get back together is stupid. Like, it's just not a thing. But I know a lot of guys getting their feelings because we as guys, let's face it, our egos are such that we believe if we broke up with somebody, they're going to never find anybody else as good as us, and they should just remain single until such a time as they come back to us, realize that they were wrong, and want to get back with us. That is not how this works. Realistically, she could have been a woman that's detached to outcomes. And I always teach you guys, when you're dating, it's important to be not so attached to the outcome, meaning that if a woman breaks up with you, your response should be, well, okay, well, best of luck to you. If you want to come back later, then let me know, but I'm going to, best of luck to you, and I'm going to do my thing over here. Like, you can feel some kind of way about it all you want to, but your reaction should always be indifferent, because reality is we all have the right to date who we want to date. So if she doesn't want to be with you, that's totally fine. If you don't be with her, that's totally fine. But the point is, because that possibility is put out there, you can't falter. Now, he says that he believes this started before the breakup. The reality is women get hit on all the time. So for all you know, it's true. She could have been talking to some other guy while you guys were dating, and that could have been the reason she broke up with you. But what more likely happened is that while you guys were dating, when she goes out in public, she's getting hit on. She has random dudes sliding to her DM on Instagram, on Facebook, on Insta, whatever. Women are getting hit on all the time, to where if you guys broke up, it is not hard for her to go out the next day and find a guy to go on a date with. It's not hard for her to go out to a nightclub and a guy want to walk up to her. It's not hard for her to go to the bank and have somebody walk up to her and want to hit on her. Okay. So women are typically, if they're attractive and they're relatively, good looking, whatever, then they're going to have an abundance of men trying to hit on them at any given time. Okay. All she has to do is accept one of those offers and boom, she's hooking up, she's in another relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So whether or not she got with this guy before or after is moot. The point is that that's, again, allowed to happen because you guys are broken up and you can't falter for that. Now, her coming back to you, what's that about? My honest answer is who knows, who cares? But to be more precise, we could say that she hooked up with another guy, maybe dated him for a while, and in the process of that, maybe she realized, hey, this guy's not for me, and actually this guy is making me realize how much great stuff I had with the guy I just broke up with. Let me see if I can still salvage that. Because if you were, this is the thing that you guys need to know too, okay, is that you can't force somebody to try to stay with you. But if you legitimately let a girl go and you don't contact her and you don't push her to try to be with you, sometimes what will happen is when you're dating a woman, you're putting so much effort and energy into her that she starts to feel smothered. She starts to feel like you're trying to force her to have feelings that are stronger than she's willing to have at that time. And she feels like it's too much too soon. And then she breaks it off in part because she needs a break. And she realizes that if she comes to you and says, hey, I need my space, that's going to hurt your feelings. So she'd rather just break it off altogether than hurt your feelings asking for space, than possibly have that be a fight. Okay. But with that said, when you do give a woman that time and you give her the distance that she needs, that can give her time to assess the fact that she actually does want to be with you and wants to come back now, because now it's of her own accord. Now she's not feeling forced to make the decision to be with you. And now she's realizing that she has that time, that the choice she ultimately wants to make is to be with you. Okay. So at the point that she comes back to you, she's saying, hey, I thought about things and I really like you. Can I give this another shot? This is not the time to be like, well, who were you with when we were broken up? Did you hook up with anybody else? Like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. If you're probing for that, because a lot of guys will ask those questions, did you hook up with anybody while you're broken up? I don't do that because I'm like, hey, I know my ego. I don't want to know. Again, if she ain't got an STD and if she ain't pregnant and she came back to me, all I'm worried about now is, can we revive this thing? That's it. That's all I'm worrying about. I'm not worrying about any other stuff because it's not important. Because ultimately, she could do whatever she wanted to do during that breakup, just like I could do whatever. And I know if that's the situation that I was in and we broke up, I know I would definitely be doing some stuff during that breakup. But I wouldn't want her questioning me. Well, what did you do during the breakup? Did you hook up with anybody else? Oh my God, you totally did. How could you? I'd be like, but we were broken up and I didn't think you were coming back. Like, why? I'm not going to wait around hoping till the end of time that you come back. So to think that she would do the same thing, again, is asinine at best. Like, don't play that card, okay? Recognize she's wanting to come back. At this point, you can decide if you want to take her back or not. If you think that there's things that you guys need to work on, you can talk about those things before you make that decision. And hey, I got a great book on my website called 10 Ways to Get Your Ex Back, regardless of who did the breaking up. And it talks about those things. It talks about the process of what you need to talk about and what you need to be doing to see that if you do get back with this person, it's going to be a stronger relationship. It talks about things like, hey, how to be more patient, because maybe she was one of those that was like, you're a little too on me, dude. I need my space. And that's totally fine. But yeah, this is not an act of betrayal or unloyalty. You guys broke up and then she hooked up with somebody else. If that's over with now and she's coming back, then it wasn't anything that she broke. Now, if you find out that she was hooking up with this guy while you guys were dating the first time, then that would be an act of unloyalty and you don't need to date her anymore. But if that's not the case, then recognize that your ego is reacting. Your ego is reacting to the fact that, oh my God, how could she find somebody else so soon after we broke up to hook up with? And again, women get offers all the time. That is bound to happen. If you want to get back with her, do not hold it against her and let it go. All right. So hopefully that helps this guy out. So that's it. That's all I have for today. So thank you all so much for tuning in. For those of you that are watching on Instagram, I appreciate you watching. Be sure to like this video and share it. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. Everybody, subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. If you're listening on the podcast, do the same thing I just said. Also, go to the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. I got free webinars. I got free trainings. I got products. I got ebooks. I got courses that are all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. All right. I'll be back next Sunday with another one of these wonderful live shows. Also, I'm starting to do more. I'm trying to do also a live Q&A during the course of the week. So usually right now I'm holding them on Fridays. So chances are on Friday, I'll be holding it's a free Q&A session where I just answer dating questions. And that's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. So if you're interested in that, again, just subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll get notified of when those live shows are coming up. All right. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you all dearly, and I'll be back sometime next week. So that's it for now. If you have any questions you ever want me to answer on one of these shows, you can write to me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. That is harrywilmington@gmail.com. I'm Harry Wilmington. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.